Alright, so this is chapter 168 titled City Core, Population 1 million. Now, this is reference to what's going to happen at the end of the chapter, which, when I saw this, this chapter took me the most. This chapter did something incredible. It made me actually go back and actually reread the chapter like 10 times. Now, normally I usually read the chapters like 2, 3 times. This chapter took me 10 times to actually get everything and understand everything that was going on. And big thanks to the translator Caleb Cook, who translates Doctor Stone for Viz, and his Twitter for actually explaining all the trivia in this chapter. We're going to be referencing him quite a bit in this review. Alright, so the chapter starts off with quite a nice cover page, with quite a nice title page, where we have someone holding up her flag in the same manner that Senku did when he departed from Taijura and Yusuria at the beginning of the series. And it seems to have a flag that's that has like basically the symbol for the Kingdom of Science, except replacing like the rocket with corn in the middle. But anyway, continuing on from the end of the last chapter, we get Chrome relaying to Senku that he has the enemy. Doctor Stone is in his hands, and we have one of Senior's forces saying, "I hear an enemy transmission. Is it in Japanese? Is it in Japanese? Senior's should be able to understand it." And I love that they've brought this up in the chapter, because I might as well reference this as well, because we're going to be talking about Luna in a bit as well. Basically, the author Inagaki basically came out and said in regards to the actual translation of the series, if I can actually get the tweet. Yeah. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. So here we go. Inagaki has basically said about Luna in regards to Japanese, she can't speak it at all. So yeah, that basically puts the nail on my theory that Luna is the ultimate translator. Thank you for that, Inagaki, for coming out and saying that. I'll admit I was wrong, and I'm not afraid to admit that. So that's all I'm going to say on that subject. I'm really glad that they actually came out and addressed this, and I love this about the series itself, because I'm gonna go off on a bit of a tangent here. But you'd think like in some series, like particularly in One Piece, where we have all these different islands and everything around the world, and everyone's speaking the same language, like. Surely, like I would have thought Oda would have been able to like come up with some variations on languages as well, like basically give reference to like maybe people in Dressrosa would be speaking like with more American tone, American slang, and vice versa with someone like Wano will be speaking with more Japanese slang. So I would have thought that they would have done that in One Piece, but that's just my a minor tangent. But I'm really glad that Inagaki and Boichi actually took the time in their series to actually address the issue of like, if Japanese people are travelling to America, there will obviously be a language barrier that they will have to overcome. But anyway, continuing on, we get to see the condition that Percy is in, and it is bad. Basically, the front bit where Suika was like when they arrived in America, and it's like on the tip, that is completely gone. And Caleb Cook actually compares it to the Going Merry, and it's like, why do you have to bring that up, especially in this month of October? Why do you have to bring that up? But also, he also brings up like the person I've been calling Magnet's waifu, like the woman that's meat. That's probably someone called Maya, and yeah, that's probably who we're going to refer to from now on. But basically, Maya sees Max coming up onto the Perseus as Max goes, "Ka! Stanley is too awesome. Didn't even need a whole minute to take over the enemy's base." And Luna thinks to herself like, "Senku, all of you up in those planes," like not knowing that Senku's actually back on the ground at this moment in time. And as Luna is and as pretty much Luna's been tied up at this point, Max is like, "How wonderful to see you! What the heck's going on here?" And as Max tries to untie her, Luna goes, "Oh, thank you, Max. Okay, I squad to rescue you. Your new man. Who do you need?" As we see, probably the funniest bit in this chapter, we see Francois basically doing the worm, because she's tied up as well. Basically doing the worm over to him. It's like, yeah, can you free me as well? And I will tell you exactly what I will tell you exactly what you need. And again, going back to the language barrier, I love the fact that they've put the little dots around the speech bubbles to. I guess this is probably prove that yes, they are speaking English to Max right now, and they go up to Max to say, "Well, Francois can help me with first aid, and we require Master Kazuki as he may have to disassemble the fallen artifact." And we see Max grab Kazuki. Kazuki basically bulges his muscles out and throws them all over the side of the Perseus to actually get away from the guys. So they're like, "What the hell just happened?" And also going back to the tweets that Caleb says, he goes on to say. Like Carlos, Max instantly betrayed Xenu and joins the Kingdom of Science when Luna tells him he's dating Senku, and it shows that panel where where she's like, "Oh, thank you, Max. Okay, our squad to rescue you, a new man. Who do you need?" So that basically in that panel, as Max was untying Luna, she was like, "Yeah, I'm dating Senku, the leader of the enemy team." He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna join you guys." And again, I love the fact that they're more loyal to Luna than actually Xenu, because they're basically madly in love with Luna, and they're like, "Okay, whatever Luna does, I do too. I'm gonna go with her. So if she's joining the enemy, I'm joining the enemy." So okay, we've got Luna, Carlos, and Max on the enemy side now. Pretty good characters, I must say, and I can't wait to see more of them about what they do, what they do in the future. But anyway, continuing on with the chapter, we see basically what happened was, okay, Kazuki bulged his muscles, threw himself and Francois off the side of the Perseus, and Max and Luna are like, "Two enemies fell in the river, we better go and rescue them." As they go and rescue them, but of course they're not bringing them back to the Perseus, they're taking them to where Senku and Xenu are. As we cut back to where they are, they're like, again, it's like, "Now that we've captured Dr. Xenu, hooray, now that we've captured Dr. Xenu, nobody in the can understand Japanese, which means no need to encore our missions. Our current position is northwest from the enemy base. We're hiding in the river bank," obviously giving the information to Senku. As we see Senku, I love this like reveal of Senku when he goes up to Xenu, and Xenu's like looking shots like, "Oh my god, my protege, I'm actually going to meet him again in person for the first time in like 3,000 years. Senku's like, "Yeah, as long as his hands are bound, no need to hoyage him. He'd never act illogically like that, since his people can't conduct a proper manhunt until Stanley's forces return. He won't resist just for the heck of it. He'd never act illogically like that, because Dr. Xenu is a world-class science pro," and we see just like the most ecstatic look on his face. Like, that is probably the look of a oh my god, it's probably like mobile emotions going on at the same time. It's like, "Oh my god, you're alive, Senku. Oh yeah, sorry about that attempt to actually kill you and everything." And I know, and I really want to see them, like, probably in the next few chapters, like, a conversation of like, "Yeah, so why did you decide to try and kill me?" I can't wait for that. But for now, that's not important. That's for next chapter. And continuing on, Cedar's like, "So you survived, Dr. Senku," as we see them sitting on a bunch of rocks, as we see Senku drinking what looks like, I'm going to assume it's some medicine that he actually whipped up himself, because a lot of people like question like, how can Senku walk around perfectly fine without when he actually crashed landed from a plane and also was shot. So I reckon it's quite simple. He whipped up some medicine and is taking it to actually get better here as well. And you think that's pretty unrealistic? Just remember, Tsukasa punched two lions to death after he broke out of the stone without any time to like really comprehend what was going on. And let's not forget, Chrome survived a bomb blast last chapter, pretty much near him, and survived a cave-in. So yeah, you got to take a little bit of realism out of this series, because it is technically a science fiction series. So you got to take a little bit of realism out of that. Yeah, no way Senku would have survived after a plane crash. So it's something that you've just got to take with a grain of salt and just move on. So as Sinu goes, science is elegant. Senku goes, it's been thousands of years since little third grade me started sending emails to NASA. Hehehe. But if you are hoping to stroll down memory lane, we'll have ages to do that later. So basically, they're gonna have like a trip down memory lane later. Because, but for right now, they've got a lot to do. They've got to be moving before sunset. And he's like, and Sinu's like, huh, later. Where will you go? You have no base to return to. My people have already defeated your friends and taken over the ship. You lost. As Ryusui goes, haha, that's true, but since we can't go back, there's no choice but to move forward. Am I wrong? And Chrome's like, what the heck do you mean? What the heck do you mean by that? And as we see, Carlos, Kasuki, Luna, and Francois all find them, and Luna's like going through like what Senku's going to be saying to her when they see each other. I wonder what he's going to say. I wonder what he's going to say, but maybe I'll play off like doing all the things myself. So she goes, Senku, you're safe. Of course he's safe. A smooth operator, I mean, knew that a little dogfight wouldn't kill you. And we see her as Francois is setting up the table and basically giving hospitality, and they're like instant hospitality, like what the heck are you doing? We see Luna's mind as she's thinking, like pondering over everything. How I've longed to see you once more. Did you feel to be at my side? Job well done, Luna. And she's like, you'll never say that. I'm supposed to be the smooth one, right? And I already know fully well what a kind of guy Senku is. So yeah, pretty much she knows Senku's asexual. So she's like, nah, he's not going to say that, but. Contrary to what she believes, he actually says half of what she actually said. His response to Luna being there is like, So in all the confusion, you managed to sneak away from Kasuki and Francois. Job well done, Luna. And she's like, oh my god, he said half of what I thought he was going to say, and Senku's just completely confused by this. So I love that little interaction from Luna and Senku, and. Yeah, okay, I'm pretty much on board with this ship now, considering what's going to happen at the end of the chapter. Also going back to Caleb's tweets. This is another one here that he says Luna, Carlos, and Max are in this for the for the long haul. Hooray for an international correlation! So it's only a matter of time before they learn Japanese. That was the tweet that he actually said. As we see Yukio and Carlos actually communicating with each other, because Yukio is one of the ones that can actually speak English pretty well. So he's basically. I feel like at this point he's trying to teach them a little bit of Japanese so that they're able to understand what they're actually saying. And I love that about them. I love just those tiny little details in the background that Borichi actually puts in to give us like some like, oh, what are they doing in the background there? I wonder. And I love that about him, like how he puts in those little details, and yeah, props to him. But anyway, continuing on, Yukio says that they have to move on now, and they're like, our team has moved forward, as we see them all race off to get to some sort of boat that Sinu has, as Max goes, when Stanley, Maya, and the rest of the main force return from their mission, we're done for. They're unbeatable. And Karako's like, so this is our chance then. Well, security's still like, they'll never, and Yuki goes, they never expect us to return out right after the Great Escape. As we see them get the science lab onto Sinu's yacht, and yeah, we see Ryusui piloting the yacht, and he's like, mind if we borrow your boat? Sinu consider this a trade for the Perseus, which we need some modifications to that yacht if he's going to be a match for the Perseus. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna have to come out and say that. As we see, what I love about this panel as well is you see Chrome there. Just like hanging on as the yacht's like, I never expected it to be this far. But anyway, going back to what Caleb has said on Twitter. Yeah, he goes, those all-terrain tires allow the mobile lab to board the yacht without a ram. So yeah, that's pretty apparent what was going on as well. And another thing he says, recall that Carlos is a professional driver, hence his interest in Ryusui's captaining, either curious to learn himself or giving pointers. And yeah, Carlos is like, it is like that in that panel. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, right there in that panel, he's like, "Oh, you're a captain. Pretty impressive. But maybe I can show you a few tricks of the trade myself." So as the art pushes on further upriver, we have Karaku saying, "Will we attack Stanley's group by water?" And Gen's like, "Always so eager to leap into battle, dear Karaku." And Hyoga's like, "Doing so would mean our death." So that's pretty scary when Hyoga's actually saying like, if we were to leap into battle now against those people, we will be dead. So yeah, it's pretty good that they're actually escaping to the next destination, which is actually what's going on here. As Senku reiterates that the goal is diplomacy. It's the new world's first and last leadership summit between Japan and the US. Out of all the Americans, who seems the most reasonable? As Chrome's like, I've got one in mind, and he flashes back to what Dr. Brody was actually saying in regards to actually getting him and Xenu out of the cave. As Chrome goes, "I don't understand English, of course, but while the others wanted to fight, this one guy prioritized digging us out to save our lives." And Gen's like, "That sounds like Brody, their mechanic. Yes, even when he suspected me of lying, he didn't grow angry. He simply brushed it off with a laugh." So again, I love that fact that Brody's the kind of guy who's like not interested in fighting. He's more interested of just doing his own thing and making sure that people are actually safe and not actually killed for a stupid reason. I love that, and we see Brody actually starting to talk to Senku, and he's like, "Yes, someone wanted to talk to me. If you're calling about hostage exchange, sorry, but the numbers are on our side, Greenhorn." And Senku's like, "That's true, so to make up that difference and then some, how about some info you'll be 10 billion% excited about?" And this is where Senku realizes what the revival fluid is to actually get out the petrification, which is alcohol plus nitrogen acid, which makes Naito, as it shocks both Brody and Xenu. It's like, they're probably thinking like, wait, it was that simple the whole time to break out this stone? Fuck the stuff we could have done if we had that. As we see Senku going, "Get it? You can make all you need with corn. The people from my ship know the details, and I'm sure they'll be thrilled to help you on that. For about 1 million people at first, and build up a massive city. I think our goals are aligned, right?" As Brody's like, "An alliance guaranteeing the hostage safely. Stan would never agree to that." And yes, he would never agree to that. He'd be like, "Yeah, we're not interested in negotiating with the enemy. We're just going to kill you for basically kidnapping our leader." Now, I'll go into details of what I actually think is going to happen at the end of the chapter. As Brody goes on to say, he'll track all of you and Xenu down to the very ends of the earth. And Senku's like, "That's why we're going to keep giving them the slip all the way to hell. See, I'm a busy man, and I've got to get a move on with this plan. Forging an alliance while waging war and building a new nation all at once. You people have some screw loose," is what Brody says. As we see Nikki and a few others raise the flag, as Nikki says, "No problem, you're leaving Corn City and I'll keep our hands." As we see them go, "Here in the Stoneworld, 1 million people." And they go, "Corn City founded," and that's where the chapter ends. So the people that are being left behind, it seems like Ginru, Kinru, Yuzuri, Magma, Nikki, and there are a few others that I'm going to say if we can actually get to it. Here we go. So Nikki, Magma, Kinru, Giru, Matsukase, Mozu, Kirasami, Kokuyu, which is Kohaku and Ruri's father. I'm surprised that people even actually remember him, because really, after the footage, when they get onto the Perseus, what has he actually done? He's done squat all, basically. So Yo, Miyami, Manto, Homaru, the manga artist, Yuzuriya, and every red shirt are being left behind, and basically the main cast moving forward seems to be Senku, Kuraku, Ryusui, Francois, Chrome, Taiju, Tsukasa, Hyoga, Suika, Katsuki, Yukio, Gen, Luna, Carlos, Max, Xenu, and Zero Redshirt. So 16 people, which I feel like is a pretty suitable number for the main cast moving forward, and pretty much all of them that were mentioned are my favourite characters in the series. So I'm a happy bunny. So yeah, so why don't we move on to my thoughts on the chapter? So, what's thinking of this chapter? Well, really good, and it seems like we're moving into the climax of the New American City arc and moving on to our next destination. Now, a few questions that I actually have is where is Stanley and his group? Because we saw the girl that wasn't actually Stanley that was playing to the play, that was battling Ryusui and Senku. So where is she? Will they return? Will they return to Corn City? Of course they will. And I'm going to mention a Discord message right now if I can just get to it. Let's get to it. Sorry about this, guys. Come on. Yeah, here we go. So this is something that I did with Polyjams. He said, I just realised we still don't know where Hilma is, and I said, yeah, she's probably somewhere on the ship, and she's become pretty much a background character at this point. And here's what I think is going to happen. We might get a flashback arc at some point after the next arc from the perspective of the characters that will actually stay behind in Corn City to actually build it up and see where they're actually going with that. And I'll be all down for it. Like going back over previous arcs, like seeing flashbacks of from previous locations, seeing how they're being built up. I'm all for that. But one question I've got to say here is, without Yusuvia, how will they repair the statues, because it's pretty much established that she's the statue builder. Now, I did put this question out, but then the more I thought about it, it was all like, well, we had Kohaku basically punch Ryusui's statue to bits, and they were able to piece it back together in Treasure Island. So that question is pretty much voided at this point. But yeah, I love the fact that they subverted the expectations of, like, oh my god, they're actually leaving people behind that they actually brought from Japan to actually build up Corn City. I like that, and again, showing how incredible Boichi and Inagaki are about thinning out like who are the most important characters of the series, and basically the ones that I mentioned, like Senku Chrome, Kohaku, Suika, Kasuki, Yukio, Gen, Ryusui, Francois. Basically all those guys. They're like the most important ones of the series, and obviously Tsukasa, Yoga, Taiju, and as well. And it'll be interesting to see where they're actually going to go. Now, my theory is that they're actually going to go to South America to not only find out in regards to what the petrification actually was, because that was the initial goal, to actually go to South America to find out if that was the true cause of the petrification. And obviously they're bringing Senior on, so maybe he can actually give some insight into what actually went on, and obviously get the super alloy. I believe it was the super alloy that is in South America. If we can actually look back, yeah, here we go. Yeah, it was super alloys, so that's where they're going. That's probably where they're going to go to next, and then return to Corn City to pick up everyone, maybe repair the Perseus, and then set up for Europe, because I believe Europe is Math City, or obviously Aluminium City, because they've actually got to get to Australia from America as well, so they'll need the Perseus for those kind of missions. I would love it if Stanley was the main antagonist of the next arc, basically trying to chase them down to South America to actually try and get Xenu back on his side, and maybe at that point Xenu's basically come to his senses, actually going to convince Stanley to not keep pursuing them. But anyway, guys, those were those chapters. What did you think of them? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. Go and subscribe to Control Chaos. Join Twitter. Join the Discord. Follow us all on Twitter. All that jazz. And follow Caleb Cook, because again, without the trivia here, this would have been a pretty confusing chapter for even more so than it was. But anyway, loved it, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Maybe next week it is the climax of New American City. We'll just have to wait and see. But this will be Lashaluk signing off. Later, guys.